How did a Twitter bot reveal the underlying lack of humanity in so many leading brands this International Women's Day? How can we all avoid being misguided in our marketing? And how did Adidas mind the gap when it came to jumping on the bandwagon? This is Zonal Marketing. How are we? Welcome to episode 21 of Zonal Marketing, a series which explores how innovative brands are shaking up their industries with extraordinary marketing. I'm Simon Vincent, the ex-CMO, and in this episode I'm exploring how the gender pay gap Twitter bot managed to troll Barclays Bank, Missguided and many more over their International Women's Day posts this week. I'll also examine how Adidas escaped the criticism despite ostensibly following the same playbook. And finally, I'll see what lessons we can take from these examples so that you can apply them to your company and ensure that you're never accused of such virtue signalling. So let's kick this thing off. International Women's Day 2022 saw the usual slew of posts from brands proclaiming their support for women. Many of them focused on female members of staff that are showing courage and leadership in their given field. A few heroed their female customers, and some companies even went as far as to create initiatives to support women in their chosen industry. So far, so virtuous. But then the gender pay gap bot reared its mechanical head, and after computer said no, many brands started malfunctioning all over the place. Created by Francesca Lawson and Ali Fensum, a freelance social media manager and software developer respectively, the bot searches for companies tweeting using a variety of related hashtags and terms, automatically looks up their figures on the UK government gender pay gap database, and then issues a tweet revealing that company's discrepancy between the median amount paid to women versus men. Needless to say, some companies didn't fare very well. Among the most high-profile victims were Barclays Bank, which apparently pays its women 35% less than its men, and, believe it or not, women's online clothing retailer Missguided, which pays its women a whopping 40% less, allegedly. The worst-case examples had a 70+% difference. And this is not the first time brands have been called out for issuing meaningless platitudes around these sorts of events. In 2017, car manufacturer Audi put out a TV ad called Daughter, which championed gender equality, only to have it revealed that the company has no women on its 6-person executive team, and its supervisory board is only 16% women, well below the already low average of 20% for female representation on corporate boards of Fortune 500 firms. But sometimes the brand in question's lack of sincerity isn't so obvious. Sometimes it just doesn't feel right that brand X is commenting on subject Y. Men's shaving brand Gillette was heavily criticised for its We Believe commercial that addressed toxic masculinity and sexual harassment around the time of the Me Too movement being at its height. In his book, Hook Point, Brendan J. Kane says, although the message in the ad is great, of course men and women should treat others with respect, it also makes sense that audiences have been put off. As a brand, he continues, Gillette had not talked about social responsibility prior to this campaign. They'd always focused on hair removal, which is why when they suddenly came out with an ad telling men they needed to behave differently, many consumers felt that they were trying to insert themselves in a conversation that they had no permission entering. That's because that's not who they are as a company. To some in the audience, Kane concludes, the ad just came across as gratuitous and opportunistic. In summary, it's not enough to just live your brand values. You need to be seen to be living them consistently, considerately, and compellingly. No one doubts that the people at Procter & Gamble, Gillette's owners, believe that women should be treated as equals, but to suddenly come out with an ad criticising so-called masculine behaviour when Gillette has been so entrenched in upholding the traditional values of what it means to be a man just made the ad feel tone deaf. They had no right to be commenting in the space. And in the next section, I'll discuss how another company, also in the clothing space, avoided a similar pitfall. Not every campaign that came out this year struck the wrong note. Sports apparel company Adidas put out their I'm Possible campaign, which encouraged women in the United Arab Emirates to post an image of themselves working or playing sport for the chance to feature on a digital billboard in Dubai. Adidas isn't a women's brand. It doesn't sell exclusively to women like Missguided does, nor does it exclusively sell products which appeal to women like Always, another P&G brand who achieved critical acclaim, rightly so, for their fantastic Like a Girl campaign. So, why didn't Adidas suffer the slings and arrows of public critique? Well, first of all, the ad features several high-profile female athletes from the Middle East, all of whom are pre-existing brand ambassadors. Such historic and long-term commitments are a good indication of the brand's commitment to supporting women in sport. But secondly, the company has a track record of championing the cause of women's rights in their marketing. As far back as 2005, the company was partnering with Stella McCartney and simultaneously placing print ads that showed women how they show men, driven, powerful and alone, rather than sexualized or portrayed as doing sport for fun or friendship. In recent times, they've run their Now Is Her Time ads and reimagined sports ads. But perhaps most tellingly of all, the company's done the work on its brand purpose. They've identified 4 core pillars, one of which is called She Breaks Barriers, aimed at getting girls to join and stay in sport. This shows that they've identified that women's rights are central to the very essence of the brand and ensures that their commitment to the cause will go well beyond an International Women's Day post. And they're happy to be held to it. A simple Google search will find the entire policy online. What this means is that when Adidas say they stand for gender equality, we believe them. We feel that in our gut that it's genuine. We don't question it or call them out. It just feels right. And when it feels right, it drives brand loyalty amongst consumers, encourages advocacy, and increases the brand's value. Not that that's why they're doing it, of course. Oh, and for those of you who are wondering what their gender pay gap is, it's 8%. Not beyond reproach, but certainly not the worst example either. So how do we apply these lessons to the work we do on our own companies? First of all, a good way to ensure you aren't caught out by this sort of thing is simply to pay staff who are doing the same job equally. Hire equally and promote equally, regardless of gender, race and sexual orientation. This shouldn't need to be said, of course, but clearly it does bear repeating. But looking at this purely from a marketing perspective, a large part of the issue when companies jump on these brand wagons is that it feels disingenuous. So, build it into your core values at the outset. Work out why you do what you do and what purpose it's there to serve. What issue are you looking to solve and for whom? Once you've identified these core characteristics, write them down, put them in stone, put them front and center on your website, in your office, and make them a part of every job interview you conduct with potential employees. Create a tone of voice and a visual identity around them. Make sure that with every word of copy, every image, every video, every song you put in your ad or on your hold music, with absolutely every interaction your customer has with your company, you've asked yourself, does this choice adhere to our brand values? To find out more on this, try my episode on how not to be boring. But secondly, it's about then identifying your opportunities. What are the plannable and unplannable events that you expect to take place over the coming year, and for which ones does your company have a place in the conversation? If one of your brand values is equality and you've demonstrably shown that in your business practices and marketing to this point, then you have the right to speak on International Women's Day. If not, leave well alone. It doesn't mean you don't believe in these things. It just means you're not contributing to the noise around the topic and letting those who really are breaking new ground in the space be seen and heard properly. Select a handful of things that definitely will happen, International Women's Day, the Super Bowl, the Oscars, for example, that based on your core values, you know your customer cares about and that you have a point of view on. And also try to identify a type of situation that might occur that your company would have a voice in. So Me Too and Black Lives Matter would be examples, but so would something simple like a cultural event such as a particular song, film, fashion trend or meme blowing up. With all of the above, think about what the core message will be that you are aiming to convey. How will you put it out in a creative and compelling way? Which channels will it go on and how will it be targeted? To find out more on how to do all of this, try my episode on how to pick your moments. Think of yourself as being like the manager of your favourite sports team, surveying the fixture list at the start of the season. Where are the games where you're playing teams that are weaker than you? These are your opportunities to express yourself, to play your most expansive, most authentic game. And then factor in a tactical approach that will get the results you're after. Okay, that's about all for this week. For more on the ideas and approaches mentioned in this episode, I recommend checking out my core Zonal Marketing playlist, on which I take you through the process of building a considered, creative and compelling marketing mix from scratch, taking my lead from the world of sports tactics. If you'd prefer more of the human touch, you can ask me to talk through these ideas with you and your team one-to-one. I'm available for speaking gigs, training sessions and client work, and to find out how to talk to me about any of that, please visit x-cmo.com. Check back here every week for a new episode, each one exploring how an innovative brand is shaking up their industry with extraordinary marketing. As always, if you're enjoying this series, please do like, comment, share, subscribe and or review, depending on the platform you're on. It all really helps the channels, and if it helps the channels, I'm hoping it will help more people just like you. Until next time, thank you for your attention.